Welcome back to the Technician to CEO podcast. Today, we're doing something totally different. We're recording here in studio with my friend Jay Westmoreland. Jay is the owner of A Cleaner Chimney, a chimney business here locally in North Carolina, doing some pretty amazing things. He has grown quite a business. Jay and I go back, because of a mutual friend of ours, a bunch of years. To something we were just talking a little bit about that. But welcome, man. Thanks for.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's really cool. I've actually never done a podcast before.
Really?
It's my first time.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be gentle. And so Jay, you've grown a huge business today, but tell me a little bit. Just give me like the 30-second snapshot, because we'll come back to that.
Right.
We'll come back to where you are today in a minute. But kind of give me a snapshot of what you're doing today. What does that mean to have a chimney business? I know not everybody's super familiar with that.
Honestly, man, we're a full-scale chimney company now. We do manufacturing, so we produce products that are chimney covers, metal work, things like that. It's fun to have this business, man. We get to see a lot of people. Most of the time, our views are pretty cool on a roof, on the side of a mountain or something like that. But it's a wonderful business.
Yeah. Do you like getting up on roofs? Do you actually like that part of the job?
I do, man. It's a stress reliever for me. I love it. I love the thrill of it. Not a lot of people like to do that, but for me, it gets my day started. If I don't do it 2 or 3 consecutive days in a row, then I feel it for sure.
I'm totally terrified of heights. So I can't ever imagine that. I grew up building houses, and I always remember Dad loved when the framers were framing. When they're framing the rafters, and they'd put a couple of 2x4s, out up there, and the guys are walking it. And I could never do that. It's just not the way I'm wired.
No, man. So I had to ease my way into it, and I have a lot of guys. They have to ease their way into it, and to get a little more riskier, balance gets a little better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a big deal for us at all.
I know back in the day, Justin used to always send me those crazy pictures, and he'd have a ladder to get on the roof, and get another ladder up on the thing, and
we do that every day, man.
Top of the chimney.
There's some things that we do that we try to harp on safety as much as possible. We wear good gear, good helmets.
Yeah. Perfect
boost for what we're doing. But still, dude, you fall 30 or 40 foot down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be a good day for anybody.
Right. And for OSHA that's listening, they're totally OSHA compliant. But we're not here to talk about height.
Strap in and all that stuff.
We're good. That's not what I want to talk about. That was just a bit of a side note. These conversations are all about the stories of business, of how guys went from, we call it technician to CEO, how people start as a tech, because it's usually pretty humble when you start a business. Right. You're kind of just starting a job, but there's a journey in there, and you can become the owner of a business that operates. And I've known you for a long time, so I know this started a lot more humbly. Tell me about when you very first got into business. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was 21 years old. Actually, I first started. I was 18. My father-in-law did this business in the 80s, and it was a chimney sweep. And I was 18. I had just graduated high school with I think a 2.1 GPA, so I barely made it out. Me and my buddy got our own apartment, and I needed to make money. And my father-in-law mentioned chimney sweeping.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, I got my first van. People would be partying on the weekends, and what I was doing was cleaning my van, trying to figure out business. Trying to understand. I would keep a box full of receipts under my bed. These were my tax write-off receipts,
Yeah.
I was trying to learn everything, and little did I know there was so much involved with it, But yeah, I did that for, 3 or 4 years, and you would make a couple $100 a week with people just talking. I had not a whole lot of idea what I was doing,
Yeah.
I know that I was trying my best. A few years into it, I got tired of doing it. I was working a manufacturing job with Justin and a bunch of friends. And I just asked him one day if he wanted to buy, my business, which I really didn't even too much have,
Yeah.
And I sold that to him.
Yeah. What did you sell him? Did you sell him a van and
no, dude, I didn't have a van.
You sold him your phone number.
I just sold him my phone number.
Okay.
And it was like $600.
Yeah.
I sold him this phone number, and he was like, "Now what do I?" So I'd given him a business that I didn't really know how to operate.
Yeah.
And now he has it, and he doesn't know how to operate it.
Yeah.
But I got $600. So it was pretty wild, and going forward a few years, we had our first child. Her name is Jameson. It's my daughter. And I was still in this manufacturing facility, but I was working a third shift job, you know. So I wasn't home at nighttime. And I knew that the chimney business, I had a little more maturity under my belt. I knew the chimney business was something that was very lucrative if done properly. So I started another one up, called it A Cleaner Chimney. I literally put the A on there because I was only advertising the phone book. It was the first thing that would come up.
Yeah.
And I knew if I answered the phone, they wouldn't keep scrolling down the phone book.
Right.
So anyway, I built enough business for that to where I could make a couple $100 a week, and then just took a dive and quit manufacturing to go full-fledged.
So I think this is a really interesting thing, and I've had this. A few people have told me about like that leap, and it's a big leap when you have, a job and I assume benefits, and you got that guaranteed pay. Like, what made you take that leap, or what was that like?
I think it was a lot of things, man. I'm a pretty spiritual person. That kicked into play a lot. I knew I have one life. I tell everybody, you can expect to live 70 to 80 years, and I was a quarter of the way through it. And I was like, I can't be somewhere I'm unhappy, and I miss my family. That was enough to almost push me over the edge. But people like Justin, like you, people that inspired me, they kept pushing on me, trying to, you can do it. And I think it was my father-in-law that I talked to him one night on the porch, and I said, do you think I can do this? And he's my biggest critic. So he's going to tell me, yes, you can, or no, you cannot. And there's no bullshit behind it.
Yeah.
So he said, you can do it. And the next day I quit my job. And I knew that I had the support. I had the positivity here.
Yeah.
I had somewhat of a little bit of momentum, and it's sort of what you need.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground running, man.
So when was that?
That was 2011.
Okay.
That was 11 years ago.
Okay. So how did it go?
August 2011. August 1st, 2011.
Yeah.
August 1st, 2011 is when I quit. August 9th, I got married.
Wow.
Yeah. No. I got married way before that. That's when I had Jameson.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
So it was August of 11 is when I quit, and it was tough. First 2 weeks were pretty amazing to walk out of that facility.
Yeah.
Knowing I don't have to go back. But
right.
then, reality hits. You have to make the money now. You have to go after it.
Yeah.
So first year or two were very difficult. I've had cars repossessed. I was behind on payments. I think, man, I was trying to take my daughter to school, and you didn't have a car there because they had taken it. So now I have to call my father-in-law and say, hey, look, they've taken my car. Can I use yours? Now, if you're a man, that's awful feeling, man.
Yeah, that's humbling.
That is the worst feeling, to know that I can't take my daughter or my wife anywhere unless her dad comes to bail me out. So that was probably the hardest part, for sure.
But I guess that was probably motivating at the same time.
Man, it was.
Yeah.
It was very motivating, but it's heartbreaking too. So you've ever been heartbroken, and it's hard to come back from adversity, dude. So you really have to climb, and you've got to want it. Every morning I woke up, Les Brown was in my ear. Motivational speak. Jim Rohn was in my ear.
Okay.
I couldn't go down. I had to stay on that level, And still to this day, it's something I do. I wake up, I put on Kevmo music, which is peaceful music. I have to keep that going in my head, because it doesn't take a lot to get wrapped up into things.
So, how did you get things turned around? Like, what happened after that? I mean, did it start to come pretty quick, or was it still a lot of struggle?
Well, I think in any business, you start to. I think most people climb up the hill and they give up right before they get over it. I felt myself climbing. I'm getting momentum. I'm getting customers. Bills are starting to get paid.
Yeah.
I'm starting to be able to put a little bit back.
Yeah.
And then, I think you do get to the top of the hill, and if you can push, you can get over it. And that's what happened. It's like it literally just hits a point to where it works.
Yeah.
But persistence, man, staying on that. I think everybody can do it. They just give up when it's really hard, and they never make it all the way through.
Yeah.
But it was I think I knew that we had done pretty well when, my credit score, when everything was gone, was like 350, 400, which is awful.
Yeah.
When you can finance a house or a new house, or you can go buy anything and you don't have to do anything, they already know you, or they're going to have it set up before you get there. Things like that started happening, which is really cool.
So what was the breakthrough moment? Was there like something specific that happened? Was it just kind of pushing through day to day? I mean, was there kind
Dude,
of
there was no particular moment.
Yeah.
It was day to day. It was day to day. There was no moment there's nothing they could have clicked
Yeah.
and just made everything right. It was
Right.
persistence. My wife and them, being able to eat at nicer restaurants and being able to get the clothes they wanted and things like that. It was definitely a grind. And the people say a grind. That was a grind, for sure.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like business is not easy. I like what you had to say about like kind of the tenacity of sticking it out. Like Justin tells me a lot about your business, about how well it's doing. I know he's like so excited for you to see that.
So people like that, man, that's the people that were in my corner.
Yeah.
Now, if you
Pull
can
that
get
microphone a little bit closer.
if you can get people in your corner that truly want the best for you, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of good people around me that believed in me. They would put the word out there, and I had good people in our corner.
Justin always talks about, I know your father-in-law is a businessman and he
Right.
did chimneys before. Did he play a role in,
Oh,
in
yeah.
mentoring you through this?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Because, he's my mentor in general. I look up to him more than anybody in the world.
Yeah.
And we haven't always gotten along, but I love him,
Yeah.
And so there was times where I had no money and I wouldn't ask him for money. I would ask him for advice, and he would have given us money if I would have asked for it,
Yeah.
But it was the advice that I needed. And there's a lot of times I wanted to cry,
Yeah.
a lot of times that I did cry, but he was a huge role player. He would always give me some kind of motivational, just let me know he was there for me,
Yeah.
I think that every business owner, if you start it from the ground up like we did, $500, I think that you're going to go through so much adversity and toughness that only a few will make it, There's only a handful that'll make it through to the other side.
Yeah.
But again, you have to have those people around you that will push you,
Well, and the statistics are by 10 years, it's like less than 10%.
Is it 10%?
It might not even be that much. It's a very small, because I know it cuts down to about nothing at 5 years, and then it cuts down. I mean, you get to 10 years.
And also there's a whole lot of stuff you have to learn. First you got to drum up the clientele.
Yeah.
Then you got to learn bookkeeping, payroll, 941s, taxes.
Yeah.
Then you got to learn marketing. You have to know so much.
Yeah.
And I don't know all those things, but we have the people that do.
How did you? And I think that that's a really important point. I'd like to stop and talk about that for a second. You said you got to know all these things, right? So
Right,
sales, marketing, maintaining profitability, your finances. You got to have an organization that can handle like the larger volume work you're doing now. And you said you can't know it all yourself, or you don't know it all yourself, so you have the right people. How did you come to figure out how to get the right people? Like,
this is hiring, pretty
Yeah.
much, right? My hiring process is a little different. You can ask about our company, and the culture is amazing. People look at it, and they typically want to mimic the culture.
yeah,
I go after, it's tough to say, but I go after people that have a lot to lose.
okay,
That sounds crazy, right?
yeah,
You're like,
it
doesn't
does,
make
totally crazy.
No, but so I go after people that, typically have a baby on the way, just bought a house. And I want them to know that if they come into our team, how they perform reflects how their future ends up. And so I want them 100% invested. And I'm 100% invested as well at all times, 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
So typically I pick out the people who have, a lot to lose, a lot going on. I don't want somebody that may or may not need a job, or may or may not want a future, may or may not want to be better in life. That's how we built our culture.
Yeah.
Every single person we have is a 10 out of 10 for sure.
How do you find people like that?
Handpick them. I asked questions that generally you wouldn't ask somebody during an interview.
Yeah.
I want to know, what you do on the weekends. I want to know things like that, and I don't know if that's illegal or not, but I don't think it is. But I want to know how you spend your spare time. What do you like to do? What floats your boat? I want to see your hands. I want to see your smile. I want to see all those things. It's sort of like you would pick your friends. Are you compatible enough? And it is not typically what you would see in a hiring process where they give you an application, and because you don't know what you're getting, So.
Well, I know that's very unconventional to say the least.
Absolutely, dude. It's extremely unconventional, but it's unconventional in a way that I've had so many people ask me, "How did you guys do that?"
Yeah.
And it's just because I didn't do what everybody else is doing.
Right. And you just kind of came up with like kind of your process. Is it just trial and error, just as you go?
No,
or?
it was. I told you the spirituality thing. It's like positivity. Like you don't see anybody walk into our shop or our office typically without a smile.
Okay.
Because they know if they come in here and bring this stuff today, all your teammates are getting hurt by that. But yeah, it's an unconventional way of doing it. It was something that. We tried, didn't even mean to try it. We just didn't want to be around anybody that wasn't going to fit,
Yeah.
And it ended up being really cool. I think I've had hundreds of people ask how we hire.
That's really cool. You must be doing something that's working then.
Absolutely. And you can, if you look online at our reviews, we're the only chimney company with over 600 5-star ratings. All 5s. Our guys care, man.
Yeah. And that's a people thing for you. That's why you have
Absolutely.
this. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you have the right people. You pick them out,
Yeah.
And sometimes when we hire, this is another unconventional way, I'll get 5 of our guys in there to talk to this person that wants to be on the team. If they say go, I say go, then he's on the team. That way all of us have a little bit of responsibility in it.
Yeah.
Which is, nobody does that. So.
Did, as you kind of grown your business, was there a certain position that when you hired it made just a huge impact? Was there any kind of that stands out with that?
There's several. Yeah, I think that we have, 16 or 17 people now. And answering the phone is the big thing, for the greeting. We have Mary and Santana in our office who are absolutely amazing. My wife answers the phones too. And this is the greeting. Answer the phone the first time. That's kind of what we've learned.
Yeah.
How many times do you call somebody and they don't pick up the cell phone or they don't pick up the telephone, and it's ridiculous. You want to get your service done. Chris in our shop heads our shop. He does so much on a daily basis. It's very impactful. Getting orders, getting metal in, building the caps, reaching out to contractors. But everybody, has a pretty important part.
That's cool, and you can't do it without people. I love to hear about like your process with that. So, where have things gotten to? Like, what's your business like today? Like, tell me about what you guys are doing.
So again, we started with $500.
Yeah.
Cleaning chimneys.
Yeah.
So we still do all that.
Yeah.
Now we have several vans on the road. I think like 8 vans that run all day, every day, across the state. We've paired up with a bunch of big companies, local companies, energy companies. We do all their wood stove installs and fabrication of chimney caps. Now we're starting to distribute our chimney caps across the country. So, as a matter of fact, I have Chris and another shop technician tomorrow going to Virginia to deliver an order. He's going to stay the night there, and he's going to talk to them about them listing our caps on their websites. But we're a full-service chimney company now with fabrication. We weren't getting the products we wanted ordered, so we decided we were going to make them.
Yeah.
And they're better than what we were ordering.
So just for anybody listening, this is for service businesses. If they don't know, chimney caps are typically something you'd buy from a large supplier.
Absolutely.
And so that wasn't working out, so you guys decided we'll just make them? Kind of how'd that come about?
Well, we were getting a generic cap. So it was like something, If I'm working on a house that was $1.5 million,
Right.
I cannot put a chimney cap on there that costs me 300. I need to see what color you want, what style, what shape. It's going to be perfectly designed for your home. We're going to put it up there. You don't have to lift a finger. But we were getting to the point where we were installing caps that were subpar on beautiful homes, barns, whatever. So we wanted to make exactly what they wanted. And it started with a small vinyl brick that I bought in the Home Depot parking lot, dude. And that would only been aluminum.
Yeah.
I remember too, man, I used to buy aluminum sheets that you can cut with scissors.
Yeah.
And I bought a little bitty hand brick and I put it in my garage. And all night I would cut this out with scissors and I would bend the aluminum. It was very easy to bend, and that's how we sort of got the concept of the caps. Then me and Chris got together, Chris, and Josh, and we actually came up with true designs. You can jump on top of the caps, man. They're super strong.
That's cool.
50 different colors, copper, anything you want.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, it sounds like there was kind of an opening in the marketplace too for you guys. Then that's where you're distributing them today.
So we started doing our caps 3 years ago. We sold 3 the first year. A couple hundred the next year. And now we're selling thousands a year. I think it was over 1,000 caps last year.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and so we just,
something you were making with a pair of shears in your garage and a handbrake, and then, now you guys are
we took these little bitty figurines that I had made.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I didn't even make those thinking I was going to make chimney caps one day. I just want to see if I could do it, man. And so I was making them, I put them up there, and we started to say, let's make our own caps. I said, well, here's the little figurines.
Yeah.
And then again, Chris and Josh got in there and using their brains and were able to make it to where it was perfect. So
you were kind of telling me, I took you down a sidetrack there. You're telling me a little bit about like where your business is today. You got 16 people, 8 vans. You guys are doing some manufacturing. What does that picture look like? However you want to kind of describe that. Like,
was it like what it's going to be?
Yeah. What do you guys? How big of a business? You started with $500. Like,
so, I mean, we've gotten this far.
Yeah.
On record to make, I don't know, a few million this year.
Yeah.
Out of 500. So I knew that if we can do that.
Yeah.
What's stopping us from being the best in the country? That's our goal.
Yeah. What does that look like? What does that big vision look like when you say the best in the country?
We would like to distribute caps throughout the whole country.
Yeah.
So I want other chimney companies and contractors and roofers to say, hey, man, we don't want to put these subpar caps up either. We want custom. We can't afford to put this up here after we build the whole house, and then put something that looks awful up there. I want everybody in the country to order from us. I was always told to shoot for the moon and you'll hit the stars or something like that.
Yeah. There's a quote Justin likes about all that.
You know what I'm saying? Just shoot as far as you can. What's hurting, man?
Yeah.
I have the people there to do it who are way smarter than I am, all around me. Cover every base.
Yeah.
If I can just direct this thing, I think that we can be the biggest chimney company in the country.
And so for you started out as a service business, but that growth for you see is really in the manufacturing space. That's the future?
Yeah, because service is a little more local, unless you franchised it out or something like that. But manufacturing is what we're focusing on. We're really happy about that. To see that kind of progress is kind of crazy, with limited marketing. So people they ate it up. And so now we can't. I think we had almost 20 orders this morning just from random contractors. I don't even know these people. So that says something.
Yeah, I mean, you must be doing something right. If you have a product and people want it, I'd say you're on the right track.
Yeah, and the cool thing too, man, is we're grateful for every single thing that happens.
Yeah.
So we had no idea it was going to go this way, but after it started going this way, we said let's go.
Yeah.
Something cool happened. Let's run with it. So.
Now I have talked to a couple of guys. The guy that I was just talking to when you came in, he has a soft wash business,
right.
So like pressure washing, and when he grew his location out, he actually went down the licensing route, and so he's licensed 10 locations. out to do that. And I know that's a way to grow. I like what you're doing. I know somebody that took a stain business out in Tennessee that we know, and he started making his own stain.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and so I mean, he's still got servicing business. And he still works that some, but now he's distributing stain and seal products all over. So I think that is just. I mean, it's an amazing story. I know where you came from. And
Yeah. I mean, me and you were hanging out back in the day, man, and we
Yeah.
were all really young and
dumb.
yeah, doing some, not the smartest of people, but we all, ironically, me, you, and Justin would sit down, and we knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
way or another, we knew that we could do it better on our own.
Yeah.
I've never lost that feeling.
I think there is. Somebody told me I was talking to. They said I was just flat out unemployable, so I needed to go out on my own. And I think, I'm in that wired. I'm very independent, and I've got a vision, and I get that. It's just you kind of have that wiring. So, if you were talking to somebody who was early on, maybe they haven't started their business yet, maybe they are a couple years in, and they're hitting that struggle point, What advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
But number one, like I talked about, make sure the people are around you that are positive. There was that saying, you are the average of the people you hang around with. I think that's
Amen.
huge.
Yeah.
You have to be around good people that are going to push you. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of studying, man. I spent a lot of late nights. You have to want it. And you have to have that thing that I was telling you, but you have to have something to lose. The people that I hire, that I want you to have something to lose.
Yeah.
You have to have that. I know people that start jobs or businesses that, were kind of given everything. You have nothing to lose. Where's the motivation come from? For me, I have to put it all on the line, or I had it all on the line, and that'll push you about through anything, So just the motivation. Is
Toughness, tenacity.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. There was nights where I didn't sleep at all because I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills the next day. So to go from that to living in a beautiful neighborhood, a huge house, beautiful yard,
Yeah.
great employees,
Yeah.
a great business. Every morning I wake up, dude, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Nothing's bringing me down today.
That's cool.
Nothing. I mean, I don't know. If you've had any adversity too, man, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You can't put a frown on my face today because I know where I've been. So.
Yes, and when you started this, did you ever think that you'd end up where you are today? Did you
Yeah,
have a vision for it?
I always thought, because that was always something I was told, just believe it and you can do it. And I told you this the other day, it was things we were taught in kindergarten like that really do work.
I didn't know what you meant by that.
Dude,
Things
I'm
we're
telling
talking.
you, what do they tell you in kindergarten? Persistence.
Yeah.
If you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off.
Yeah.
The people you hang around, all of that stuff is actually true. Right. So
It wasn't just those posters.
No, dude, all those posters, man, they are all so true.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go to the moon, I'd go to the moon.
Yeah.
I would find a way to get there. It's all so true. I tell my kids that all the time, man. You don't need a big book to tell you these things. It's just a couple of key phrases that your kindergarten teacher told you, man.
Yeah.
Like, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That is so simple, right? I don't know.
That's really cool, Jay. Well, I mean, I appreciate you sitting down and
Yeah, man.
having this chat and sharing it. Like your story inspires me.
Well, thank
Like,
you, man.
It's not glamorous, and for most of us, it's not. It's not it's not this. You say there's no magic moments.
There's not, dude.
It was really just grinding it out. But like you stuck with it. You had the right people around you. You were willing to do things unconventionally. You found a way that worked. You weren't just doing stuff. Like, you found a way that worked. And, man, look where it's going at. I have no doubt you're going to be the biggest chimney company
No,
in the country,
if I
for
can,
sure.
yeah, I think that we'll do it. I really do. Give me like 10 more years. Let me figure out some more stuff and take a few more risks, and then we'll do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's another thing I think that I've heard, and you and I don't get to talk much these days, but that you're not afraid to take a risk on your business.
I found out that risk, that's the only time that anything ever happens good, or worth talking about.
Man.
You know, taking a risk. How many times have you taken a risk and something goes well off that risk? If you don't take any risk, man, then you're going to make slight improvements. Sometimes I literally feel like I haven't taken a risk in a while. I need to do something risky. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, no, I got to do something risky because we gotta bump this thing up a little bit. You know, I have a couple guys too that they're risk takers, man, and they will push me to the edge. And I say, we're taking this risk, guys. We're going it together, right? And we are. You know, even though I own the business, everybody has a say. So, I mean, yeah, man, it's huge. Risk
I love that, and that is a bomb, man. Well, I think on that, I think we'll call it an episode.
Let's do
that
it,
was
man.
that was freaking good. Like, man, you hadn't taken a risk in a while. And maybe it's time to take a risk. Well, thanks for joining us. It's been another episode of Technician to CEO. We will see you guys next time.